Okay, I'm probably butchering every single name on here, and I am so sorry. Hey guys, today I am doing a Q&A video. So it was the last day of school for me, and I really wanted to film a video for you guys. So I have been getting a ton of questions on YouTube, and I figured I would just open up my Instagram and my Snapchat and to see what questions you guys have for me and just answer them for you in this video. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start answering them, and I think I'm gonna start with Snapchat first. So let's dive in. Okay, so the first one that I have is from the AV421. I hope I'm saying that right. I'm so sorry if I am. As a teacher and a mom, what is the best tip you have to feel a balance? I don't feel a balance at all. I feel like sometimes my life is chaotic. I feel stressed out sometimes. And I think that's part of it. I think that's just life in general. I just came to a realization that, you know what, there are times where I'm going to turn teacher mode off and I'm going to have that quality time with my kids. And depending on the situation, you know, it just varies. Like if I am doing my end of the year party, it was extremely stressful. And I told my husband, I said, listen, these next couple days, I'm not going to be around a whole bunch. I'm going to be working 24/7, trying to get everything finished. And that was just understood. But then the other times I know that I have to leave by so much time. I try to leave that school by 4 o'clock in order for me to go pick up my son, go home, make dinner, spend time with them, put them to bed by 7:30. And then that's pretty much the time that I have until I get exhausted and I end up falling asleep on the couch or something and I go to bed. So there is no balance, to be honest. You will never feel like there's a balance, because the moment that you start to feel like, oh, this is good, I got this, everything's fine, something happens and more stuff comes about, and then you have 500 million other things that you have to do. So you never feel a balance. I definitely don't feel balanced in my life. I have my stressful moments quite often, but I learned to just say, you know what, it's going to get taken care of. It's going to eventually, you know, figure itself out, and I'm not going to stress out too much about it right now. So it's so funny because as teachers, you know, I remember when I first started teaching, somebody said, listen, it's going to get done. I promise you it gets done. You don't know how you get it done, but you do. And that's exactly what I'm going to tell you. You're going to get it done. You don't know how it's going to happen or when it's going to happen, but I promise you it will get done. So try not to stress out about that too much and just learn to say, you know what, I need to spend time with my kids and I need to turn teacher mode off for a while, unless you're like me and you had the end of the year and you really needed to get all that stuff done. So, okay, so next question is from Abigail. On Snapchat, and Abigail says, what are some activities you suggest doing at the beginning of the year? Like get to know each other better activities? Okay, so this is a great question, because in fact, I have to go and teach for my 4th grade. I just finished school, so next week I'm going to be traveling to Pennsylvania to go and teach for one day to my students who are kind of going to be my kids for the next year. So they have something where every grade shifts on one day and they go meet their next year teacher, just to kind of ease some of that anxiety, and they are kind of get to know you, they get to know the building, and you don't have to worry about any of that at the beginning of the year. So some of the kind of get to know you activities, I would really recommend looking at the morning meeting book. I have the morning meeting book, which is something I started incorporating a lot into kindergarten this year. And it has some really great get to know you activities, just games that you can play, songs that you guys can sing together. You know, if you're in the lower grade levels, there's some really cute songs actually that you can play. But there are some really great upper grade levels that games that you can play too. So definitely check out that book. I'll leave a link down below so you guys can go and check it out. It's called The Morning Meeting Book. Pretty simple, but it's awesome. I would definitely check that one out.
Next semester, and I'm wondering like what supplies I need to do student teaching. I'm not really sure what I should get prepared beforehand. Also, what are like your 5 main tips for going into student teaching? Like, what should we be prepared for going into it? Thank you.
Okay, so that question was from Mallory. And Mallory wants to know a lot about student teaching. So let me tell you, I have a lot of student teachers that will come into our schools, and I get very stressed out, and I feel very bad for them, and I really want to just say, don't do this at all. So here's my hugest, like the biggest, most important tip for you ever in student teaching. Act like you're going to an interview every single day. Act like you're coming in for an interview every single day. Go above and beyond. Do your best. Stay up until midnight if you have to get certain things finished. But seriously, act like you're going into an interview. I see people who are coming in very like casual dressed, which I never dressed casual during my student teaching. I was always dressed very professional because I wanted to give that essence that I'm a professional here, that even though I'm just a student teacher, I am still a professional. So I did that. I would come in early. I went above and beyond to try to do as many things as I possibly could for my co-teacher, or our cooperating teacher is what we called them. So I went above and beyond to try to do everything and anything for her. I went in and automatically said, what can I do? What do you want me doing? I mean, it was something as simple as, if you want me to go make copies, I'll go do that. Or can I start teaching a small group? Can I start small? Get in there and just dive in. Don't be scared. Don't be intimidated. You're going to make mistakes. Be open to any type of suggestions that your cooperating teacher has. Ask them to sit in and just observe you teach and get kind of feedback from them and what it is that you need to be improving. I also did a lot of things at the very end of my student teaching where I did kind of a coffee house. So we had a coffee house poetry day or morning. It was supposed to be poetry night, but we made it morning. So I had coffee and I had donuts for parents, and I invited parents to come in the morning, and the students who had been working on poetry for like 2 or 3 weeks had various different poems that they had created, and they got to pick their very favorite. And we dressed them up all cool like, and they had black shirts and black hats and black shades, and they got to go up there in the very top, and I had a spotlight on them, and they read their poem out loud, and the parents were all kind of watching, and it was kind of that coffee house feel. And at the very end, all the kids were like snapping because they were the cool kids. Snapping. I don't know. I thought it was adorable. Well, I even invited my principal to come in at that time, she's my principal now, but I invited the principal to come up during the coffee house so that I can show her that, one, I like parent involvement, and for her to see that I want it to be meaningful for the kids. So the kids had a goal that they were trying to reach towards the very end of my student teaching. And that is that they wanted to present their very best poem for the poetry day. So, go above and beyond. Think outside of the box. Be creative. Be on time. And always, always, always communicate every single little thing with your cooperating teacher. You don't ever want your cooperating teacher to think, were they supposed to be here? Were they not supposed to be here? I did have a few other student teachers that were in the building, and they didn't tell their cooperating teacher when they were coming. They would just show up, or it was just very unprofessional to me. And I feel like if you're wanting a job and you want to show people that you want a job there and you want to work for them, you need to be on top of your game. So pretend like you're going for a job interview every single day that you walk into that building. Be very professional and go above and beyond and make yourself shine. You want them to see that you are absolutely amazing. So that is my biggest tip for you. Okay, so here's my next question. My question comes from Hannah Noel, I think I'm saying that right, on Instagram. And she says, do you have any teaching horror stories? Yes, I have tons, and they all revolve around poop. Yes, I said it. They revolve around poop in my classroom. When you're in the younger grades, it's gonna happen. I'm telling you right now, you're gonna have to deal with pee, vomit, and poop. It's just something that's just gonna happen. So I think the biggest one that I had was around the later morning time, and there was a smell in my room, and I thought it was a kid that farted. So, because they fart all the time. So I thought it was just a kid who had farted, and I'm walking in my room, and I'm like, I smell something. I smell something, and I couldn't put my finger on it. So finally, I went to my teacher who was next door to me, and I said, listen, can you please go in my room, and can you figure out where the smell is coming from? I think there is a really bad smell, and I don't know where it's at. So she went into my room, and I stayed watching her class, and she went into my room to go and find it. She came back out, and she says, okay, I found it. It's this kid. Go look. So I went in there. Oh, that poor baby. She had it all over her hands, all over the chair, all over my chair pocket, all over her like composition books, my desk, her pencil pouch, you name it. It was all over the place. I mean, it's gonna happen. Yeah, I think those are probably the worst. Like, I can handle, like, some behaviors I can handle. I may get frustrated sometimes, but let me tell you, all my horror stories revolve around poop. So be prepared for that. Next question is from Emma Hughes, 22. What was your first year of teaching like? It was stressful. I mean, I don't know how else to say it. I would stay at school until about 6:30. I got to school at about 6:30. So I did 12-hour days, and then I would go home and I would continue working, and I was constantly exhausted, and I loved it at the same time, if that made sense, because it was my first year, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I got a job. I mean, how cool is that? I mean, it was something that I had been working for, and I was excited to have that opportunity. So I was just all gung-ho in for it. And so the hours didn't quite bother me so much, but it was survival. I mean, I was learning, and I look back and I see some of the parents that I had from when I had their kids my very first year, and I said, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that your child had me their first year, because I don't feel like I was as great of a teacher my first year as I was now. But then again, I also don't feel like, I feel like I'm a better teacher every single year, and that is what I want to feel like. I want to feel like every year I'm a little bit better. So my first year was survival. It was very long hours. It was hectic and chaotic, and it was a learning curve. It was me just figuring out who I was as a teacher, what it was that I wanted to have as far as expectation-wise in my classroom. But it was fun at the exact same time, and it was great and happy and wonderful, and I loved every single minute of it, because this is where I want to be, and this is what I want to do, and I was doing what I loved. So I loved it. It was great. Okay, so Raquel X Hill had a question of, what was the most challenging part of first year teaching? Also, how do you set up procedures for your room in the beginning of the year? Love your videos. Thank you so much. So, the hardest thing for my first year, I think, would just be, I want to say, just kind of figuring out my room, I think would be the hardest thing. I don't want to say behaviors were a really big thing for me, because they really weren't. The class that I had my very first year was a little harder than the other classes that I've had, but it wasn't awful. But I think the biggest thing for me was just figuring out my routines. What did I like? What did I not like? What did I like about math workshop? What did I not like? How did I want to do reading workshop? How did I want to do my small groups? That was going to be the biggest thing, because I was figuring out who I was as a teacher, and I didn't really know what I wanted or how I wanted to do things. So I was constantly changing things. Like, my kids would come in and they would say, you changed the room again. I'm like, yo, I know. I'm so sorry. But I mean, that's just kind of how life is. You don't like it, you got to fix it. I mean, that's just how life is. You got to fix it. So I did. I fixed it. And they were used to that with me, because they knew that I was also learning at the same time with them. So that would probably be the biggest thing, was just me figuring out how I wanted to do things and just creating my own style as a teacher. And for me, like, creating routines and procedures, now it's very different from what I did at my first year teaching. But now I create them with my class. I don't sit there and just tell them, hey guys, this is how we're doing this is how we're doing that, this is how we're doing everything else. There are some things that, yes, they know they're going to figure out that those are my expectations, but I want them to learn along with me. So I let them make those mistakes, and then we sit down and we talk about them, and we create anchor charts, and we really discuss about how can we make it better. So I'm also trying to make them into problem solvers in the very beginning of it too, so that they're not constantly coming up to me, because that was another huge thing too, was that my very first year teaching, they were constantly coming up to me, hey, Miss Backman, this happened, this happened, this happened. And I just constantly felt like I was just trying to take out fires everywhere and handle everybody else's problem, when instead I should have put in the responsibility back on them and help make them able to pretty much solve their own. I wanted them to be able to solve their own problems. So now when I'm setting up routines and procedures, there are a few things that I'll tell them how we line up. But like, let's say I say, this is where I want us to line up because the door is over here. And then I'll just let them all line up at one time, and it could be crazy and chaotic. And I say, oh my goodness, guys, it was insane in here and it was so loud. I want us to talk about how we could fix that. So then I'll have them start brainstorming, and I kind of guide them to where I want them to go. So routines and procedures, start small, go slow. Don't expect them to get everything in the very beginning, and practice, 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 practice. If you don't like it the first time, you don't like it the second time, you don't like it the third time, you keep going until they get it right. That's my biggest thing, is my kids will get so sick of it that finally they all force each other to do it correctly, because I would say, sorry guys, go sit back down, we got to try it again. And they try it again and they do it wrong again. I say, not perfect, let's go back and sit down. So I will drive them nuts just with that alone, and they know that. So I set those expectations high at the very beginning of the year. We set those procedures together, and we practice, practice, practice until it's absolutely perfect. Kristen Riley says, where did you get most of the materials for your first year of teaching? I'm starting second grade next year and need to start getting my classroom ready. I purchased them. I started collecting everything during my school time, and I would just purchase. If you're not able to go out and start buying a whole bunch of stuff now, then start collecting things little by little. Everything that I have in my classroom, I did not just purchase in one big chunk. There would be no way. So my baskets, I know I did buy those my first year teaching. The desk that I have in my classroom, actually that came from my husband. It was his old desk, so I took that there. The ottoman in my classroom, again, it was in my house. I took that there. A lot of the things were in my house, and I ended up just taking them. But I would simply just buy things as I went. My big IKEA shelves, I bought those 2 years ago. The big white shelves that I have in the very, very back of my classroom, I bought those probably my first or second year teaching. It was one of those. My first or second year, but I just bought little by little by little. And in the beginning of the year, I asked parents to donate. So they gave me gift cards where I was able to go and purchase some more of my things. Books, Scholastic book orders are going to be your best friend. Try to set up some type of a graph to get students excited about ordering books for the classroom and get them wanting to order those books and kind of have a, let's all try to reach $500. So get the parents involved with that and do one every single month so that you can start building up your classroom library. Dollar Tree is going to be your best friend. I bought a lot of things from the Dollar Tree my very first year. Chair pockets, I made those myself my very first year, and I just went and bought fabric really, really cheap. So there's lots of things and ways that you can start building things up for your classroom. I will tell you that the fabric that I have on my bulletin boards, those are actually Walmart sheets. So I went to Walmart and bought just the flat sheets, which are like $5, and I can cover 2 bulletin boards with those. And our bulletin boards are huge, so that's a pretty good deal. So definitely check that out. But there's so many ways for you to be creative, and honestly, I would just say go to Pinterest, because Pinterest has so many wonderful ideas out there, and there are some really brilliant teachers out there that do amazing things in their classroom on a great budget. So definitely go check them out. Yeah. So the next question that I have is from Bushel and a Peck Gifts, and she asked, what tips or advice would you give parents who have children going into kindergarten? What are they expected to know, etc.? So some of the things that I would really recommend for you is that One, you want to make sure that you're giving them some opportunities in a daycare setting of some sort, whether it's a preschool or something that interacts with other children. I feel like social behavior is really, really important at this age. They are developing that social behavior, and a lot of the times it's funny because at the beginning of the year, everybody's kind of they're playing next to each other, but they're playing independently. So we really want them to start building some of those social skills. Another thing that I would really recommend is start reading to them. Read every single day to your child. It is so important to create that love of literacy and that love of reading, and to give them the opportunities to recognize prints, understand what print is, understand what a book is, and how you hold the book, how you turn pages in a book, all of those little things that kids just need exposure to. I would also say that you want to start teaching them to start doing things on their own. As parents, we love our kids and we really, really want to make sure that, we give them this wonderful life and we try to do everything for them. But in reality, once they go off into a school setting, for a teacher, it's really, really difficult whenever you have like 20 or 23 kids that you are having to do everything for because they're so used to it. So teaching them how to open certain things, how to buckle up their pants, how to zip up their pants, how to put on a jacket, how to go to the bathroom, how to wipe themselves, how to open a bottle or open a bottle of water or open their ketchup. Just little things like that is really important for them to learn how to do by themselves. As far as academics, I would really encourage you to do ABCs, their 1, 2, 3s, counting up to 10, recognizing numbers, recognizing the letters, starting with sounds. Of course, they're going to start developing with those, but a lot of the times I tell parents, hey guys, with this curriculum, it's starting to get to the point that kindergarten is now first grade is now second grade, and so on and so forth. That now preschool is kindergarten, and kindergarten has kind of upped the ante a little bit. So there is so much that teachers are trying to cover at the beginning of the year. And we try to encourage parents so much just to read with their child, let them get comfortable with their ABCs, their letters and sounds, let them get comfortable with their letters and sounds, and then also understanding, recognizing what numbers are. So those would be the major things for you. I would also say start getting your child used to holding a pencil and practicing the correct formation of letters. I feel like handwriting is kind of a lost art, that handwriting isn't the main focus anymore, and it's very important for students to have that letter formation correctly. So handwriting is another really important thing. I would definitely try to start practicing some of that, getting them used to holding a pencil and practicing on those fine motor skills. I have seen where they have the dotted lines and they're kind of zigzags and swirls on a page, and having them just kind of learn to practice to trace it, to get some of that to practice on those fine motor skills. So that would be my advice for you. Okay, so Jay Bormsky asked, I am happy for you and your new adventure. I was looking forward to seeing more of your kindergarten ideas. Maybe your new grade level can inspire some other great things that you can incorporate into lower grades. Did you ever get to finish your data binders for Teachers Pay Teachers? No, I have not. I have about 5 or 6 different things that I'm putting up on Teachers Pay Teachers, and it's all for kindergarten. I will be working on a couple of things that's going to be for the upper grade levels, and I'm actually really excited about doing 4th grade because now I can kind of give you guys the perspective from a kindergarten view and an upper grade view, because really I'm still teaching the exact same standards, but I'm teaching them at 2 different levels. Or I've taught them at 2 different levels. So I'm going to be teaching it up an upper grade level, and then I can also relate it down to a kindergarten level. So I am excited to be able to share both of those with you guys, especially for some of you who are kind of in that middle ground and you teach 2nd grade and you don't really know how to exactly make it fit for you. So I am very, very excited about it, and I promise you I will be working on that. I have my my teacher planner that's coming out in June. I will have my data binders that will come out in June. I also have some math word problems that are coming out in June, and a few other little things that I'm working on. So I'm definitely going to be doing it, and as soon as I get it done, guys, I will let you know as soon as I'm finished. Okay, so the next question is, Steph loves mint. What advice can you give me to study for the PRAXIS math exam? Oh, bless your heart, I'm so sorry. So, PRAXIS math exams. So, I would just say to go get a PRAXIS book. That's literally what I did, and I'm sitting here looking at my PRAXIS book because I still have it. Get a PRAXIS book, go through it, just study that, read it. Most importantly, I would let go of it for the day or 2 days before your exam and just not touch it, not look about it, not look at it, not think about it, because you're going to stress yourself out, or at least I did. I would stress myself out looking at it, and I just said, you know what? Either I know it or I don't know it. And if I don't know it, then I don't need to be doing this yet. So try not to stress too much about it. I would definitely go pick up one of those Praxis workbooks that you can get at like Barnes & Noble or something. And practice with those for the first, couple of weeks. Do a couple of practice exams just so that you can get a feel for the Praxis exam. But I promise you, you will do great. You will do wonderful. Stay positive and try not to stress. Get some good rest. Use all those study tips that they've taught you so much over the years, and you will do wonderful. Tracy Mart asks, I'm so excited to see how you transition to 4th grade and maybe to borrow some of your amazing ideas. What will you do to prepare for 4th? Thank you so much. You're very sweet. And I have already started preparing. So I've purchased 3 different books. One of them is called Inevitable. The next one is called The Book Whisperer. And then there's another one, and I can't think of the name. Something with writers. I'm not really sure. But I'll leave them all down below. So I've purchased 3 different books that I know that I'm going to try to incorporate some of those ideas into the 4th grade level, because they're meant for some of those upper elementary grade levels. I have also printed out the standards that I am going to be teaching for 4th grade at the new state, and I'm starting to break those down. So if you haven't seen, I think I did a Periscope on it, on breaking down standards and unwrapping the standards. So I have a blog post on it as well. So I have unwrapped standards in kindergarten, and I'm planning on doing that exact same thing. So over the summer, I'm taking those standards and I'm simply going to unwrap them and put them into their smallest I can statements. So I'm going to try to break all of them down to the smallest increments so that I can really see what are some of the different skills and strategies that my students need to be able to know to master that one skill. I'm also preparing to look at their curriculum and their assessments as far as what are their report cards look like. And I'm going to start pulling those into my data binders and creating some of my data binders, because that is pretty much the heart of my teaching, and that is how I differentiate so much between my students. So I'm definitely going to do a number of different things over the summer, and I will totally keep you guys informed as I'm doing everything, I promise. Okay guys, so I am getting really hot with these lights, and I think that's about time for me to say I am calling it quits. Thank you guys so much for asking all of your questions. I really enjoyed reading them and kind of getting to know you and seeing what are some of the things that you guys have questions about and want to know more about. And it gives me some great ideas for some videos to do for you guys in the future. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up, and I will talk to you guys extremely soon. Bye! To come to the school to try to get more work done. I told you I would be living here. I seriously feel like I'm living here this weekend. I don't think I'm going to be able to have time to finish it all now. I may have to take some of it home. I'm not really sure yet, but I wanted to show you guys what else I was doing. So I got the majority of my summer packets done. I said I had about 3 of them, and I have the Spanish